Hi there to all of you. Here at Myth Explorer, we're going to explore the amazing realm of Mesopotamian mythology. Enjoy your visit. We'll be focusing on the tale of Nergal, the god of war, plague, and death. Nergal is among the most arrogant and fascinating characters in mythology. Over the ages, his tales fascinated readers and shaped pop culture, literature, and the arts. We will explore Nergal's identity, his history, and some of the most fascinating mythology associated with him in today's video. Let's go. Who is Nergal? While Nergal symbolizes the terrible destruction of man, he is also related to combat in a mythical sense. For instance, he accompanied the monarch onto the battlefield to inflict death on the king's opponents. Enemies escaped as soon as they could when they heard about the arrival of Nergal in times of combat. You may perhaps suppose this happened because of his bad appearance. Aside from his scary form, Nergal is also bestowed with magical talents or demonic attributes to terrorize mankind, particularly those he dislikes. Nergal is also connected with the seven gods, who are ambassadors of death and annihilation. You might want to know that Nergal, the deity of sickness, is a vendor of demons and diseases who is hungry to eat every man. The myth of Nergal, origins and legends. Incantations connected to Nergal originally emerged as petitions to Meslamtea, the deity of the underworld, in the city of Kuthar. Later, his worship fused with that of the deity of death, Erra. The legendary son of Enlil and Ninlil, Nergal was known as a womanizer, therefore he's been identified with various spouses, such as Las, Mama, Ninsubur, Admu, and Ereshkigal. With the latter, he finally achieved some stability in the later portion of his life. These females were deities or goddesses who were drawn to his approaches. His siblings include Nana, Ninurta, Ninazu, Enbilulu, and Pabilsag. The encounter of Nergal and Ereshkigal. According to the tale, the love affair of Nergal and Ereshkigal started owing to the insult committed by Nergal to Namtar, the trusted minister of Ereshkigal. There was a dinner in heaven, and Ereshkigal's share was to be given to her by Namtar. While in heaven, Namtar, the renowned vizier of the goddess of the underworld, was disregarded by Nergal in front of other gods. This misbehavior did not miss the eyes of other deities, and Nergal was forced to travel down to the underworld and apologize for the wrongdoing that he willfully perpetrated against Namtar. While he was in the underground, he was lured by Ereshkigal. Although he's a deity, he nevertheless has sexual wants and vulnerabilities, just like mortals. They made love for 6 days, and Ereshkigal lost herself in the amorous embraces of Nergal. Nevertheless, while she was asleep, the god of war abandoned her by rushing back to heaven. Blinded by her sexual yearning for Nergal, the goddess of the underworld commanded her messengers to clean up the chilly and gloomy cave beneath the earth for a royal wedding of 2 gods. Nobody moved since they didn't dare to declare that Nergal was gone, as the messengers were scared of Ereshkigal's fury. The abandonment of Ereshkigal. Upon learning of Nergal's defection, the goddess started sobbing and lamenting with a loud voice that touched the sky. She wept deep in her heart and started wailing about her awful existence in the darkness, something she did not select but was given to her without her choice. Out of sympathy, the gods didn't welcome Nergal in the skies, and the gates of the celestial home were sealed to prevent his arriving. The gods all agreed that being disrespectful to the goddess of the underworld was a tremendous error, and leaving Ereshkigal was a deadly act from a respectable deity. He was left no option but to go back to Ereshkigal in the underworld and reside there for 6 months each year. Full of hatred, Nergal returned to the underworld. Upon his return, he snatched the royal throne from Ereshkigal and declared himself king. Despite this, you can image the happiness of Ereshkigal at the return of her lover. This concluded in another round of intimacy, which underlined their status as co-rulers of the underworld, making him the genuine Mesopotamian god of death. However, you may claim that Nergal was set up in this connection out of pity for Ereshkigal, who was shut away in the underworld for life. At any rate, the marriage of these gods prepared the path toward a happy reconciliation of the northern and southern areas of Mesopotamia in the past. Nergal's place of cult. All gods and goddesses have their particular sites of adoration and worship. These are different areas for the gods to set their throne and enjoy the sacrifices of the people. Nergal's place of worship is at Kutha. Some records have also indicated subsidiary sanctuaries of worship for Nergal in Dilbat, Isin, Uruk, and Nippur. Kutha is the capital of Irkala, the underworld, and it's a site of prayers for the deceased. Some accounts associated Nergal with Kutha, naming him by the name of the city. Nergal's presence is accepted by most religious texts. Nergal and his symbols. You may compare Mesopotamian mythology with Greek and Roman stories, which presented their gods with symbols and suitable tasks. Symbols are very significant for the gods to indicate who they are compared to other deities. Nergal's insignia include a mace with a lion's head. The Mesopotamian deity, Nergal, was someone who returned the dead back to life. Only later was he regarded as the deity of sickness, starvation, and destruction, and the supreme god of plague in the ancient world. In the underworld, he is shown as a deity, surrounded by demons. You can visualize his presence as that of a man figure like a lion, brandishing a scimitar with the frightening head of a lion. All his emblems connect to his power to inspire animosity. Nonetheless, Nergal is also a deity of conscience, as depicted when he returned to the underworld and reunited with Ereshkigal, recognizing that leaving her was a violation unbecoming of a god. Traits of Nergal has been characterized in numerous ways, and his traits were carefully acknowledged by people and priests in the ancient world. Some think that Nergal shares a likeness with the sun deity, Shamash. He is characterized in vivid mythology as a deity of disease. Hence, he also exhibits the sun and the summer solstice as agents of calamity, while high summer signifies a lifeless period in the yearly movement of time. As a demon of plague, he is in command if devastation is needed for. It is his forte to annihilate anybody, and he has all the demonic creatures to consume anyone if needed. In the underworld, he sits at the throne with his consort, Ereshkigal, the goddess of death. He stands at the head of a shrine to monitor the dead gathering in a subterranean location called Irkala. It is his responsibility to only keep a watch on the dead individuals in the cave of death, but not to hurt them. In the Mesopotamian underworld, deceased individuals are gathered to dwell there eternally, but they are not punished physically. They are not allowed to travel beyond the gates of death because the gods have considered it as the point of no return. In short, all deceased individuals, as well as gods who were sent there, could not ever go back to earth or enter genuine death. The popularity of Nergal ancient Babylonians consulted the astral theological universe, whereby Nergal is identified with the planet Mars. Being renowned as the deity of battle and devastation, Nergal was connected with Mars, the red planet, as the Babylonians considered proper. He was also connected to Heracles, a Greek hero, for his tremendous power, and the god of battle Ares, Mars in the Latin pantheon. Numerous symbols and names have been linked with Nergal, including the Babylonian lion-headed colossi, signifying the guards of temples. Its construction is highly astounding in size and creative design. You may note that the name Nergal began to be prominent in the Akkadian period. His legacy and influence may be exhibited among the Hurrians and the Hittites, who identified him as Aplu, which signified the son of Enlil. He was also given reverence when plagues swept over Egypt because the people felt that if he was the one who sent those plagues, then he had the ability to erase them. Due to his link with death, plagues, illnesses, and demons, Nergal was more often feared than worshipped. While the people worshipped him and paid tribute to his throne, they were cautious to not disappoint him. You could feel people's horror of his name since it's tied to the satanic realm. Nergal was also connected to demons, notably Satan. Many responsibilities and symbols have been attached with him, but one of the most recent is his designation as the secret police in hell, or an honorary spy for Beelzebub. The Mesopotamian Underworld. People were aware of the Mesopotamian Underworld, which is known as Kur or Irkala and Kigal in Akkadian. It is defined as a gloomy and miserable location in the deep section of the earth. The people camping in Irkala eat and drink dry dust, save when their family on earth remember them and pour libations or sacrifices for the deceased. Nergal, the king of the underworld, and his spouse Ereshkigal, the goddess of death, dwelt in a palace in Ganzir. They controlled the 7 gates of the underworld with the gatekeeper Neti. Along with them was the deity Namtar, the principal messenger or heavenly attendant of Ereshkigal. Dumuzid, the deity of shepherds, was present for half a year in the underworld, while his sister, Geshtinana, was the writer of the names of the departed. Nergal did not just take care of the deceased, he was also there with a variety of other demons, bad spirits, and demonic forces that floated the air in Irkala. They were generally terrible, including the child devourer Lamashtu, and the deity Pazuzu as the demon god who carried dead people to the underworld. The journey of a soul to the underworld. All souls after death would go to the underworld, and you should remember that compassion or charity done on earth would not have any influence on someone's destiny in the land of the dead. There's no judgment there, save when they are pronounced dead by Ereshkigal. You must realize that a person's support depends on the method of their burial. If individuals were buried properly, they would have higher chances of prospering in the underworld. On the contrary, individuals who were given terrible funerals could not expect to be treated kindly. The gateways to the underworld were in the Zagros Mountains. Worshippers thought there was a staircase going to the deep and chilly area of the underworld only for the deceased. Entering the underworld, regardless of whether a person was living or dead, would entail no return. Fascinatingly, even gods are barred from accessing the underworld. Nergal's relationship with other gods. Nergal has been connected with the names of various gods. The syncretism of his name with other deities is carefully recognized and understood by humans. For instance, the god Erra has been invoked in regard to Nergal's name. Reshef, invariably connected to Nergal, was popular in Ebla and Ugarit. Alongside these amalgamations of names, Nergal had a specific association with Astabi, Simkut, the Elamite god, and the planet Mars. The god Lagama was also linked with him. In keeping with Greek mythology, Nergal was identified with Heracles and the city of Tarsos. Nergal's vizier. Egyptian pharaohs governed the populace with their vizier or sukal. Nergal's vizier was Ukur, whose authority was equivalent to a sword or a heavenly weapon. However, over time his influence was weakened, and he was supplanted by Ishum, the deity of night watchmen and heralds. Aside from him, Namtar or Ninshubur was likewise termed Nergal's vizier. Mesopotamian mythology is also famed for enormous epics about gods and their divine exploits in heaven and on earth. Nergal and Erra are both linked to the heroes in these legends of courage from ancient times. A legendary tale begins with Nergal's plan to pursue war. Two competing poles were influencing him. His weaponry sought battle, but his vizier, Ishum, wanted to stop him. To maintain the prestige of his name, Nergal opted to dismiss the latter. Eyeing at Babylon, he tried wizardry to urge Marduk to leave the temple. It was an excellent start for him to begin his campaign, but Marduk returned swiftly. He launched his case with a long argument, giving the gods a reason to empathize with him and remember him. The gods were shaken by his speech, and the cosmos was plunged into cosmic chaos. Ishum implored Nergal to stop, but he didn't listen. Instead, Nergal employed fiery words, prompting Marduk to flee his dwelling again. Nergal revealed his goal to eliminate the cosmic order, but Ishum stopped the killing. He did so by beginning a war against the people of Mount Shashar. Ishum's revolt was presented in another form to Nergal, who was happy with his vizier and the god's approval of his fury. He begged Ishum to spread the message that he was done with his fury, and he was full of thankfulness that he didn't kill the whole planet and was instead able to come back to his senses. Nergal played a key part in the lives of the ancient people of Mesopotamia. With various titles linked to his name, Nergal was most renowned as the deity of the dead and caretaker of the underworld. Due to his arrogance, he was punished by the gods for going to the underworld. His sexual desire turned him subject to Ereshkigal's seduction. Interestingly, with his humility, he returned back to the underworld and lived out the punishment assigned to him. Discover the rich tapestry of tales that continue to charm and motivate people all around the world by learning more about Mesopotamian mythology. If you liked this video, please subscribe to the channel for more mythological and historical information, like it, and share your ideas in the comments. View a few of our other videos on related subjects as well. I appreciate your viewing very much. Please feel free to post any comments below with any questions or ideas you may have for the next videos. Check out my YouTube channel for updates. have a curious mind, and continue diving into the amazing realm of mythology until the next time.